Breaking news now, legendary musician and Tulsa native Leon Russell has died. According to a post on his official Facebook page and website, Russell passed away in Nashville. Russell's most famous songs include A Song for You and Hummingbird. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll.
Leon Russell left behind cryptic clues to the truth just before his death. His chaotic journey through the spotlight was a roller coaster of unexpected successes, heartbreaking failures, tragedy, and joy. Yet there's much about Leon that the world never truly understood. Secrets that have now come to light. Who was Leon Russell, and what revelations have emerged about his struggles? Join us as we uncover the truth he shared in his final moments. A startling exposé. Leon Russell was once a bright star in the competitive entertainment world, whose talent shone brightly for a time before fading away abruptly. His contributions to rock, country, and gospel music were important in defining the careers of some of the industry's biggest names. However, despite his success, he struggled with some personal issues that affected his success till he fell out of the spotlight. Before his passing, Leon revealed a surprising story about his time working with George Harrison. He shared an anecdote where he had asked George if he preferred to hear the same thing played 168 times, or 168 different ways, expressing how frustrated it was for him.
I went up to him and said, "George, do you want me to play the same thing 168 times, or do you want me to play 168 different things?" Because this drove me crazy. I didn't like to do that. But some people, he was overdosing on it.
Leon then mentioned playing something for George, who reacted positively, asking what it was, to which Leon responded that it was number one.
I said, "Well, George, listen to this one, see what you think." I played it, and he said, "Well, that's great. What is that?" And I said, "That's number one."
Leon's journey began in Tulsa, Oklahoma. His childhood was far from easy. Born with cerebral palsy, he faced paralysis on his right side, which caused a noticeable limp and made him an easy target for bullying. It's hard to imagine this now, when looking at the tall, commanding figure with long hair and a beard who effortlessly owns any stage he steps on. Back then, however, he was just a young boy who felt isolated and rejected by his peers because of his uncontrollable challenges. Growing up in the conservative, sports-centered culture of Tulsa in the 1950s, Leon wasn't the typical child. While many kids his age were focused on sports, he was reeled in by music. He had a natural talent that stood out. By the age of 14, he was already playing at local clubs, developing a musical style that was different from the regular styles. But this style wasn't purely a product of his creativity. It was also influenced by the physical limitations caused by his cerebral palsy. The condition made it difficult for his right hand to perform the same intricate movements as his left, so he adapted. He developed an incredibly powerful left-hand technique that ultimately set him apart from other musicians. During these early years in Tulsa, Leon's immense musical talent caught the attention of the legendary Jerry Lee Lewis. Recognizing his abilities, Lewis brought Leon on the road with him, giving him a taste of the wider world of music beyond the boundaries of Oklahoma. It was clear that Leon's connection to music was undeniable. His journey then took him to Los Angeles, where he quickly became a sought-after session musician. Leon rose through the ranks of the industry and soon found himself playing with the Wrecking Crew, a group of elite session musicians responsible for shaping some of the most iconic songs of the 1960s. His musical style was distinct, and he had an extraordinary ability to find the perfect moment in a song that would elevate it, no matter how complex or cluttered the arrangement. His knack for finding space in even the busiest compositions made him an indispensable part of the studio scene. Despite his success as a session musician, Leon wasn't content just playing behind the scenes. he had bigger dreams of his own. In the late 1960s, he began to branch out and pursue his projects. He started Shelter Records, his record label, and formed a duo called the Asylum Choir. While these ventures didn't take off immediately, they laid the groundwork for the success that would follow. What other groundbreaking ventures did he get into after this failed attempt? His journey with Stax Studio. Leon Russell's journey led him to collaborate with Delaney and Bonnie, a unique white duo signed to Stax Records. The duo was known for their ability to creatively combine Southern rock, blues, and gospel in a way that hadn't been done before, creating a sound that was both fresh and exciting. Their second album, Accept No Substitute, didn't achieve commercial success, but it became something much more, a hidden gem in the music world. The album was passed around among musicians, like a secret handshake, sparking interest from some of the biggest names in music. Eric Clapton, George Harrison, and Elton John all took notice, impressed by the way the album mixed genres and created a sound that was distinctly its own. Leon's involvement with Delaney and Bonnie was the beginning of something much bigger. It set him on a path to becoming part of a new musical movement that would shape American music for the next decade. This movement combined rock, gospel, blues, and country, mixing them into a unique sound that was unmistakably Southern and unmistakably his own. By 1969, Leon Russell was ready to leave the background and step into the spotlight. His work with Delaney and Bonnie had already gotten him noticed by some of the biggest stars in the music industry, but now he was prepared to take center stage. With his reputation growing, he began to assemble his band, pulling together some of the most talented musicians he had worked with over the years. Together they began to craft a sound that was truly Leon's own, a distinctive fusion of genres that made Leon's music stand out. This group became legendary, not just for their skill and musicianship, but also for their unique sound and wild performances. The band's big break came when they toured with Joe Cocker on the infamous Mad Dogs and Englishmen tour. This was a chaotic, sprawling tour across the United States, unlike anything the world had seen before. With nearly 50 people on stage at any given time, it felt less like a traditional rock band and more like a traveling circus. Joe Cocker, fresh off his unforgettable performance at Woodstock, was in desperate need of a band to help capitalize on his newfound fame. Leon, ever the musician's musician, was more than up to the task. Together, they embarked on a journey that became the stuff of legends. The band's performances were an unpredictable mix of rock, blues, gospel, and even country, and their on-stage energy was wild, spontaneous, and sometimes out of control. Leon Russell's role during this tour was unlike any other. He took on the role of the ringmaster, leading the chaos while making sure the music never stopped. His ability to orchestrate the madness around him was extraordinary, and he became the heartbeat of the show, a guiding force behind the group's unique sound. The performances felt both spontaneous and carefully arranged, a combination of free-flowing energy and well-crafted arrangements that kept the audience on their toes. The tour was a resounding success, garnering attention from fans and critics alike, but it came with a heavy price. Despite the success of the tour, cracks were beginning to show in Leon's personal life. For years he had struggled with severe stage fright, a condition that had haunted him since his early days in music. Even though he was a towering figure on stage, commanding attention with his musical genius, Leon often felt deeply uncomfortable in the spotlight. His discomfort grew over time, and it began to take a toll on his mental and emotional health. The constant pressure of being in the public eye, combined with the chaotic and often wild lifestyle of the Mad Dogs and Englishmen tour, only made things worse. The tour was also filled with excess. Medications, orgies, and other reckless behaviors were rampant, and the environment was often chaotic and destructive. Leon, like many others involved in the tour, indulged in these excesses, and it began to take its toll on his health and well-being. As the tour continued, the strain became evident, and despite the triumphs of the music, Leon's personal struggles only intensified. The glamorous life of a rock star began to fade behind the scenes, with the pressures of fame, mental health issues, and an unrelenting party lifestyle starting to catch up with him. What happened after this episode in his life? An expected declination. The strain was not just mental, but emotional. Rita Coolidge, who was romantically involved with Leon at the time, shared how the Mad Dogs tour was full of chaos and wild behavior. According to her, the band members would often line up in the mornings to get treated for STDs, a direct result of the reckless lifestyle on tour. As Leon's struggles grew, so did the madness of the tour, which led to a rift between him and Joe Cocker. Cocker, who had started the tour as the headliner, began to feel overshadowed by Leon. Eventually, Leon, not Cocker, ended up on the cover of Rolling Stone, making tensions between the two even worse. Cocker felt betrayed, thinking Leon was using the tour to boost his own career at his expense. After the tour, Leon continued to build his career, releasing solo albums that earned him a solid place in American music history. Songs like A Song for You and This Masquerade became classics, covered by legends like Ray Charles and the Carpenters. Leon's mix of rock, gospel, and country resonated with audiences, and for a time, he was one of the biggest names in music. However, his personal battles with mental health, often described as paranoia and frequent depression, were starting to take a toll. Friends speculated he may have had bipolar disorder or Asperger's syndrome, but these issues weren't well understood at the time. Leon's unexplainable behaviors only added to the mysterious image people had of him. As the 1970s ended, Leon's successful musical career began to dissipate until it crumbled into nothingness. The music scene was changing, with disco and punk rock taking over. His record sales dropped, and by the end of the decade, he found himself pushed out of the industry. In the 1980s, Leon was all but forgotten. His music no longer sold, and work became scarce. Once one of the most sought-after session musicians, he now struggled to make ends meet. He retreated to his home studio in Tulsa, continuing to create music. But it was clear his style was no longer connected with the times. His live shows, once full of energy, no longer attracted big crowds. Leon's personal life grew isolated as well. His marriage to Mary McCreary ended in divorce in 1980, and financial problems only added to his troubles. By the 1980s, he had faded from the public eye. Despite this, Leon never lost his love for music. In 2010, an unexpected revival came when Elton John, one of Leon's former collaborators and a longtime admirer, reached out. Elton had never forgotten Leon's influence on his own career, and after years of hearing his name fade from the spotlight, he wanted to help bring Leon back. Did this second chance help restore Leon's musical career? A second chance. Elton John, determined to give his longtime friend a fresh opportunity, joined forces with Leon to create an album aimed at bringing Russell back into the public eye. Together, they released The Union in October 2010, a collaboration that fused Elton John's widespread popularity with Russell's timeless songwriting. The result was a critically acclaimed album that helped introduce Leon Russell to a new generation of listeners. The Union offered a unique combination of rock, blues, and gospel, the same style that had catapulted Russell to fame back in the days. At the time of recording, Russell's health was fragile. He had undergone brain surgery shortly before the album sessions, but despite his physical struggles, his voice and musicianship remained impressively strong. His performances on the Union reminded both fans and critics of the extraordinary talent he still possessed. The album earned a Grammy nomination and brought renewed attention to Russell's career, leading to his induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2011. Although his health continued to decline in the years following the Union's success, Russell remained active, performing for smaller but devoted audiences who recognized and appreciated his vast contributions to the music world. His final studio album, Life Journey, was released in 2014 and included a mix of original songs and covers that showcased his wide-ranging musical influences. Unfortunately, Leon Russell passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 74. While his later years may not have brought the same level of fame as his early career, Russell left behind an incredible musical legacy that continues to inspire musicians across genres. His unique fusion of rock, gospel, country, and blues has endured, and his influence can still be felt in the work of contemporary artists today. Russell's story is one of both great triumph and quiet perseverance. Even though he experienced the extreme highs of stardom and the deep lows of obscurity, he never stopped making music, always motivated by a profound love for his craft. His ability to evolve, adapt, and stay true to his artistic vision ensured that he remained an important figure in the world of rock and roll, even if his time in the spotlight was relatively brief. Russell's bond with George Harrison began in the early 1970s, when both were at the peak of their respective careers. Having already established himself as a sought-after session musician and solo artist, Russell crossed paths with Harrison just as the former Beatle was embarking on his post-Beatles solo journey. Their most significant collaboration was showcased during Harrison's groundbreaking concert for Bangladesh in 1971. This legendary event, one of the first major charity concerts in rock history, was organized to raise funds for refugees of the Bangladesh Liberation War. Harrison invited Russell to perform alongside an all-star lineup, which included Bob Dylan, Ringo Starr, Eric Clapton, and Ravi Shankar. Russell's participation in this historic concert was a clear indication of how much Harrison respected him as a musician and performer, solidifying their deep musical connection. Let's talk about Leon's interesting legacy that left a great impact on the world before his death. An unending legacy. Russell's performance at the concert for Bangladesh was unforgettable. One of the most memorable moments was his high-energy take on the Rolling Stones' Jumpin' Jack Flash and the Coasters' Young Blood. His raw vocals and signature piano style energized the crowd, showing off his ability to blend genres and take bold creative risks, something George Harrison truly admired. This performance became one of the most talked about of the concert, confirming Russell as one of the greatest live performers of the time. Despite their musical differences, Harrison and Russell shared a deep respect for each other's talents. Harrison's influences were British rock and Indian classical music, while Russell's were rooted in American rock, blues, and gospel. Their shared love of collaboration and a spirit of musical experimentation brought them together at the concert and continued with Russell's significant contributions to Harrison's solo album, All Things Must Pass. This album, Harrison's first after the Beatles, was a massive success, and Russell's piano and vocals played a huge role in shaping its sound. Russell's gospel-inspired piano complemented Harrison's spiritual lyrics beautifully. Songs like Beware of Darkness and Awaiting on You All showcased their musical magic. All Things Must Pass became one of Harrison's most celebrated works, with Russell's contributions praised for their emotional depth. Their bond, built on mutual respect, went beyond music. Both shared deep spiritual beliefs. Harrison was influenced by Indian philosophy, and Russell by gospel and Southern spirituality. To them, music was more than entertainment. It was a way to express deeper truths. Although their paths diverged in the 1970s, Russell and Harrison always maintained mutual respect. Russell's music continued to inspire audiences, and influence is still felt today, as many artists, old and new, look to him for inspiration. His ability to mix different styles and transcend genres earned him a lasting legacy, with collaborations with Bob Dylan, George Harrison, and Joe Cocker considered iconic. Russell's work as a session musician, often overshadowed by his solo career, has been recognized anew. Fans appreciate how his piano playing in tracks like The Byrds, Mr. Tambourine Man, and Herb Alpert's A Taste of Honey showcased his versatility. He could blend into any genre, but always left his unique stamp. Russell also paved the way for independent artists long before it became the norm. In 1969, he founded Shelter Records, which allowed him to release music on his own terms, free from major label constraints. Shelter also provided a platform for rising artists, including Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. This spirit of independence became a model for musicians who wanted to control their careers without compromising creativity for commercial success. Beyond his own career, Russell's generosity and willingness to collaborate made him a beloved figure in the music community. Elton John, in particular, often spoke about how Russell's early support helped shape his career. When Elton saw Russell's career dip, he made it his mission to bring him back into the spotlight, showing the deep respect and admiration they shared. Russell's influence on genres like Southern rock, country rock, and gospel rock was huge. His ability to combine country storytelling with rock and roll energy made him a key figure in the evolution of these genres. Hits like Tight Rope and A Song for You proved his ability to write emotional, relatable songs that connected with listeners, no matter the genre. Russell's legacy, built on collaboration, creativity, and generosity, continues to inspire musicians to this day. What do you think of Lean Russell's music style? Do you think his impact on the music industry is still felt today? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.